Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 9 of the anime series, Fuuka, and I loved the beginning of this one. It was so sweet seeing, you and Koyuki Tama-chan on a sort of official date after he had gone after her, and I had playfully suggested, oh, maybe Fuuka would come walking down the pier and, run into them again, like she had previously. Their entire date, just going to a small town and just spending the day together, going to a restaurant she once gave a sort of approving rating to or wrote about, whatever it is. And they're having like sweet potato, I don't know what the hell it was. It almost looked like an ice cream sundae. If you had told me that's what it was, I probably would have believed it. And just spending time together, and it was all really sweet. The biggest thing I think I was left with, though, is I'm not sure that Yu is feeling exactly the same way Tama-chan is. It's very easy to see that she's head over heels in love with him. And he seems to be reciprocating that every step of the way. He seems to be enjoying himself. He seems to be loving hanging out with her. They go to listen to the bell being rung, which only happens, 4 times a day, I think she said. And she makes a little playful, tryst of the fact that if they're standing there and they hear it together because they're, lovers or whatever, they'll be bonded forever. And this kind of sets him off a little bit, but they hold hands, and it's all really sweet and beautiful. But the thing is, I'm not sure he is equating in mind how she feels full on. I'm just not there yet. I'm just not sure that he loves her as much as she loves him. And they didn't really focus too much in this episode on whether or not there is a debate internally with him. I mean, for all intents and purposes, he's answering to everything she says. They hug, they hold hands, they are, talking playfully with each other and everything, and they're having a really fun day out. But is there a level of romance? Is there a level of love? Or is he just having fun with his friend of old? Does he feel like that's all it's really amounting to? I'm not sure. Later on in the episode, we see them calling and talking back and forth several times. One interrupts a meeting they're having at their local Denny's. Those midnight pancakes, baby, they're the shit. And, pardon my French. And, we have Fuuka, of course, her feathers are starting to ruffle. Because she digs him, obviously, but she's not really sure how she feels. She's not really able to equate her in herself. Similarly to how I question if Yu is equating, of his own accord, how he feels about Tama-chan and if it is actually love. We have Fuuka, with this interruption in this meeting of talking about creating a brand new song for the band The Fallen Moon. He's outside and she comes outside and she starts to just begin to understand, just begin to perceive something is off about how she's feeling about all this. Now, of course, we, the viewer, we're 3 steps ahead of her. You like him. You're jealous. You don't like how it makes you feel because you want to be a friend to this girl, Tama-chan, to Koyuki, who you idolize. You're an idolater toward. And you've made that promise in some alone time, spectacularly so, bathing together episodes back now. You made that promise that you're going to be there to support this idol, this girl you have hoisted up on top of a pedestal. But you never once considered the fact, and that is to say Fuuka, that it might personally conflict with somebody you too will end up digging, and she's not really sure. What am I feeling? Is it that I'm jealous? Is it that I like him? What, I want to be a good friend to Koyuki, which means hands off, but maybe I'm starting to like him a little more. It's very much speaking to that adolescent and teenage thing, that that conflict when you like someone, you see they're with someone else, and maybe that someone else just happens to be a friend of yours. You don't want to backstab your friend, but you also don't want to sort of dismantle and eschew your true feelings, how you feel about the person you're interested in. It's it's complicated. That's why that sort of, whether you're single, married, or whatever, that's why that status exists on Facebook. It's complicated. And Fuuka is definitely, she's entered the realm of it's complicated. As I say, because it's one of two times where Yu has set up like a clandestine meeting, if you will, with Koyuki, with Tama-chan. The other is when they're going to be performing the brand new song that Fuuka has pretty much written herself, in a means that would have been exactly how I would have written it, humming the tune. I was laughing my ass off as she's humming the tune and she's trying to get it right. She's recording herself. She plays the recording back, but she's got fellow bandmates in the Fallen Moon who are so uber talented that they can pick up on it and they can write it out. I remember watching a long time ago a behind the scenes video of Saturday Night Live, where they would want to do these musical parodies, and somebody would actually call the head sort of musical guy, the head composer for the show, hum out a tune, and he would start work on a keyboard and get it down, get the melody down, and then write a full song. Lyrics would be added. It's very much the same step-by-step process as what we saw Fuuka doing with the band and creating her own original song for the Fallen Moon, all this stuff. And yet she still has trouble with the lyrics. Now, they're hearkening back every step of the way to that bathing sequence between Koyuki and Fuuka, respectively, where it was a topic of discussion. How do you become a good songwriter? And you make it very personal. You write about what you're feeling, what your thoughts and feelings are. And I have to wonder, because the second time Koyuki, Tama-chan, and you are going to be meeting, when they're first talking on the phone, Koyuki is reflecting back on that. And I have to wonder if she's going to piece it together or carry the suspicion, the way she was sort of, taken aback a little bit, and she quickly got off the phone with him and then, made him agree to meet her. It was my impression that she was thinking along the same lines as we, the viewer, or at least I myself was, that she suspects there could be the potential for Fuuka writing a song about having feelings for you, or the conflict of having feelings for someone who is with someone else. This whole scenario, like I loosely predict she's going to write a song about unrequited love, much in the same manner as Koyuki has time and time again. The very thing that made her famous. Only it's going to be very much more personally connected between the three of them. The love triangle will be the subject of the song, I predict. And I think Tama-chan, in other words, I think she's perceptive of that. I think she suspects that. Or that is a possibility. Maybe that's what answers to her reluctance, Fuuka's reluctance to actually put pen to paper at this 11th hour before they're going to have this, sort of opening, act with a bunch of other bands that they were signed up for. And so they kind of try to throw a wrench in the works after all of that by the end, where somebody brings a music manager to Fuuka and says, you were spectacular. I didn't like, by the way the guy is saying, it was incredible how you ate Koyuki alive, this famous persona, and you brought her up on stage, and he's twisting it so that he's basically saying they embarrassed Koyuki by being an awesome band in their own right. Here, all of her fans had swarmed the place, gathered, and tried to destroy this act before they had taken on the name The Fallen Moon, not knowing who this band was, only knowing that Yu was the guy that Koyuki had infatuation with, or whatever like that, had a past history with, and they felt threatened, and they wanted to attack. And then not only did they win over the crowd, but they embarrassed, is the tack this guy is taking, Tama-chan, Koyuki, and that shows how fierce and how much, sound prowess they have, how much skill they have. But then F the band. I want Fuuka. I want her voice. I want you to work for me, to become a famous singer. And of course, Fuuka is not having that for 1 minute. I'm proud of Fuuka. I never expected her to be in any way enticed by that. If anything, I would have assumed she would have been taken aback and like, who the hell are you? You know, like starting crap with the guy. You don't come into my turf and tell me that it's me and not my band, not my friends, you know, not my family in a sense. And so she answered to that perfectly, but where the other leg then drops is, of course, as she's returning back to their practice station, the garage, where they're going to finally practice this newly formed song, which it's arguable as to whether or not she is formally formulated, I guess you could say, the lyrics once and for all. I believe she has, because we saw her writing, you know, in her notepad some type of wordage, you know, and she sort of seems frustrated. She sits back with her earphones on and she seems frustrated. To then answer to that, you know, walking around the corner, and there is Koyuki, Tama-chan, and you, and they're taking selfies. They're this cute couple. They're taking selfies, and I'm all for that. But now, of course, I'm feeling that emotion of curiosity, confliction that Fuuka's feeling. I feel bad for her. I've been in that position myself. Everyone probably has, one time or another in their lives, where they liked somebody, but they couldn't get with them. And it wasn't just because, you know, that person wasn't interested. You know, that's one thing. You know, being sort of turned down is a heartache all its own. But then when you can't make a move towards someone because you respect and care about someone else who is in the interplay, you know, and so you're going to sacrifice your own feelings for someone else. And that's very much what Fuuka's left with. And I felt for her. And I was really feeling that conflict by the end. It kind of brings it back to square one in a sense, where I've been sort of in the last few episodes championing you and Koyuki to be together and be an official thing. Now I'm kind of back to, well, is that really how it's meant to be? Because of course, as I say, I still was questioning, is he really perceptive of the fact that Tama-chan really head over heels loves him? And does he really feel that way? Is he just hanging out with his friend of old, his best friend in the world? Or is it romantic? Is he really, truly in love with her? Because there's always the chance that he you know, falsely is feeling as though he's in love because he had to go save his friend and make her feel better. And in making her feel better about herself, about them, their friendship, their romance, you know, even though he may not be feeling that necessarily 100%, he may falsely think he is because he made her happy again. And so the point of conflict is twofold. It's Fuuka starting to realize she is feeling some level of conflict. She is becoming aware of some growing interest in you on some level. You know, unless of course she's jealous about Tama-chan. She wants some Tama-chan for herself. You know, could thoroughly go that way as well. But then, as I say, the added aspect of I'm just not sure if you really appreciates where Tama-chan is coming from, how much she does love him, and whether or not he's sure he feels the same way, in the same way, the same amount, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so another pretty riveting episode. Again, it was hilarious seeing Fuuka humming her song. I can't wait to hear the finished product. Hopefully not being talked over when they finally get around to performing it. I don't want to have to look each and every one of these damn songs up on YouTube as singular tracks, which will probably end up being the case. But yeah, I enjoyed the episode. It definitely added to that level of love triangle sort of conflict. And you still got Sarah in the background, still, you know, getting a little blushy whenever she's complimenting you as well. She's kind of like the third wheel. Poor Sarah, you know. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 9 of Fuuka. If you've seen it as well, if you enjoyed it as much as I did, if you had the same sort of feelings and any other insights you might have, always love having that conversation in the comments below. And yeah, otherwise that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.